Hi guys, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Martyna, and in today's video we are continuing a project which we started this past Saturday, and it is making a junk journal from an old book using an old book cover. So the first part of this is linked in the description box for you if you would like to catch up on it. But this is basically a book that I've chosen to make a junk journal of. I really like this cover. I am really inspired by, so it already had this beautiful like landscape printed and those amazing old tape impressions. And then we just added gold. We added this title book plate with the title. I called this journal Nature Musings with metal brads. We added some metal corners. And we of course decorated the inside. So we first reinforced the spine with some thick cardboard, and then we have fabric. This is wrapping paper and lace. So I am really loving how this is turning out, and today I want to walk you through my process of choosing pages for my signatures. So just in case you are a beginner at making journals, I'm sorry for the loud siren outside my window. I hope you guys can't hear it very much, but in case you are a beginner at making journals, a signature is like a little booklet of pages folded in half that you bind into your journal, and then you can have one signature, you can have several signatures. It all depends on kind of what you want for your journal. So today I'm going to walk you through several categories that I usually go through when I'm choosing pages for my journals to make them to have the most variety of papers and pages and textures and weights of paper in my journals. And and in each category I will show you what I have here. I have quite a stack, as you can see. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using all of this, but I want to show you some examples, chat with you a little bit about why these particular papers, and then I will show you how to choose how many pages you want, how to prepare them, how to actually construct the signatures, and of course how to bind them in your journal. So here are my categories of papers. I decided to start with vintage items. So what I have here is this like pattern envelope. It actually has the pattern tissue paper still here, but I was thinking of using this as like a page, so I would probably cut it open on those two sides so I could like have it, you know, as a journal page. So this is an option. I also have vintage envelopes, and again a similar situation as with the pattern envelope. I would probably cut two sides, so this would form like a page, and I would have this on one side and this on the other, and I think this would be so cool. Now with an envelope like this, you can see it is like a coin pocket type envelope. It opens here, so I'd probably just fold it in half, so I would have those tiny little half pages or scrap pages, and then one of them, this one, will open on this side, and I can of course slit it here, so we would have two pockets, side loading pockets. So this is an option. And I have this beautiful Chinese receipt that was gifted to me. I believe it's Chinese, but well, it was gifted to me in a wonderful Happy May from China. But it's just so pretty. So any kind of like vintage ephemera, vintage receipts, vintage ledger paper. Look at this gorgeousness. Again, this was a gift, and I tend to hoard vintage things, vintage items, but this time I really want to just, use them, they, you know, just have them in my journal. So I'm probably going to like cut this into 2 pages and then fold them, and I will have my journal pages. So vintage things is definitely a very fun category of papers, and you can really add a lot of different items. Now the second category is textbook pages. So I love textbook pages. I always use them in my journals, and as you can see here, I have a selection of a lot of different fonts and styles and even languages, and of course paper colors. And also if you just touch them, they are all different feels, different weights, different sizes. So I have this one, which is a nice cream color, and it's very thick, so it's very nice for a journal. Then I have a couple here. This one is actually taken from this book, so I just thought it would be fitting, and it says birds, beasts, insects and others. So this is like a nature book page, and yeah, I really like it. The same with this is from a gardening dictionary or encyclopedia kind of book. So I've chosen some nature books because I want my journal to kind of have a botanical feel. Then I have this gorgeous vintage or antique, it's vintage dictionary page. It's stunning. I love the color. It's also very thin and brittle, so I am going to be adding it to my journal, but I will show you how to reinforce this part so that when you bind it in your journal, this won't just tear in half and, you know, fall out of your journal. I have this one. This is like just a little page here torn out of, what is this? Oh, from a cookbook. So I would just fold it like this and bind it in my journal. So I also want different sizes. So some of them I'm going to just bind like they are, maybe trim a little bit so they fit within the cover. But some of them I want sideways text that just adds a lot of interest in my opinion, and I like it. And I also like, you know, how this is going to be a big page and this is going to be like so much smaller, and you will see all the nice layers. And I also, of course, have some Edith Holden, because those Edith Holden books have the most beautiful vintage-like color. This is from Nature Notes, so this is not the one with the fancy handwritten font, but it's still full of beautiful words and journaling and poetry, and I just thought it would look nice in a journal. And this one also was gifted to me. So again, it's kind of a different color, different font, because here we have a typewriter font. This is torn on the top, which I think is super cool. I like the torn look, but if you don't like the torn look, you can of course always trim it here, and I would probably just add it like this in my journal. Now the next category is kind of like crinkly papers, or papers that add sounds to your journal. So I don't know if you like it. So this is kind of course, all of these are optional. You choose out of all of this, you choose what you like and what fits kind of the theme and the vibe of your own journal. But I have here a couple of things that add just the most beautiful crinkly sounds to your journals. So first of all, I have these. So this is just scrumptious and these are just sheets of vellum or tracing paper. This is vellum. Vellum is a bit thicker than tracing paper, and what I did is I just used my spray inks and I sprayed it and left it to dry, and now I'm left with this gorgeousness, and it has some gold sheen to it. And then I have this one which I just used some teal and also some pink on it, so definitely an option. And I also have this, is so nice. I have some baking paper, and I use it, I use this baking paper when I'm doing some mixed media or when I'm painting my covers, or I think this one I actually used in my art journal to kind of put behind the page so I don't like the mixed media doesn't flow out of my page, and it just has some, you know, as you can see, some grunging up already. So this is nice, and it also just, it's the most wonderful crinkle and also the most wonderful texture. I really like it. And also, as you can see, this is a little bit transparent, so say like semi-transparent. So this also adds another point of interest to your junk journal. The next category is junk, and oh, I didn't grab one thing. Let me grab it. So junk. So things that you would normally put in a bin, but because we are junk journalers, we don't have to put paper things in a bin anymore. We can reuse them and give them a different purpose and a new life. So what I have here is a piece of Tim Holtz packaging. This has a nice vintage looking color already, and I would just probably fold it like this and add as a little half page. And then we could cover this up or use the part of this text as like the part of our background when we are collaging or something like this. Excuse me. Then I have packing paper. Packing paper is also amazing. Ever since I started junk journaling, I don't throw away my packing paper, but I try to reuse it as much as I can. So this one has a really beautiful color and has a like lighter side on the reverse, and it also, as you can see, gives a nice crinkle. So I would also consider it as like a crinkly page. And then I have these sheets of papers, and these are similar to my baking paper. So I just put them under my pages or under my covers when I'm painting them, and or when I need to kind of try the paint color, or when I need to clean my brush sometimes, then I just do it on those pages and I don't throw them away, because while they may not look the most attractive, I think that if you take pieces of them in your collages or fold them and add them to your journals as pages and add something on top of all of this paint, it just makes for such an interesting page in your journal. Now, digital pages. So if you don't have, especially if you don't have vintage pages or vintage items that you may use in your journal, but you still want to do this vintage looking journal, then I would definitely go for digitals. So I will link below my friend Lorna's shop. She has the most beautiful vintage digitalized sheets of paper and of vintage ephemera and receipts and beautiful documents, and there is so much to choose from in her shop. So definitely check her out if you haven't already. But yeah, this actually, I don't think it's from Lorna's shop. This was also gifted to me, and it's printed on this like tracing paper or a very thin kind of semi-transparent paper. And this is just a beautiful like hand written music page. But yes, digitals, you guys, you can achieve the beautiful vintage look with digitals if you don't have vintage items or you don't want to use them because you're a hoarder like me. Okay, so then I have one more envelope. So this is just a junk mail envelope that I got in mail, and I'm saving all of them too since I've become a junk journaler. But yes, I would probably fold it like this and maybe open it here or here to have this window pocket, and then I also have the pocket on the back. And of course, while I'm journaling, I would cover this up with something so it just would look nice. Okay, the next category is book pages with images, illustrations, or photos. So this again depends on what you are going for. If you want your journal to be kind of blank, then I would probably skip those. But if you have a particular color scheme in mind, or you just want a bit more variation in your pages, then papers, book pages with images with beautiful illustrations that either suit the theme of your journal or simply inspire you, they are such a great addition to your journal. So I have this half page or something, I don't even know which book this was from, but this is just so beautiful. And since my journal is called Nature Musings, I'm going to be using nature-y types of images. Then I have this page and it's just blank on the other side, so this is how it looks like. And I'm probably again going to fold it, and this is nice because then the text is going to be horizontal, and yeah, and have it in my journal. I also have this one which I tea stained a long time ago, probably more like 2 years ago or something. And then I have again a half page. Oh, this is actually kind of cut but not really here, so you can just tear it, but with this gorgeous dragonfly, and on the other side is just text. And then again some Edith Holden, because you know Edith Holden. Okay, next thing that you can use in your journals is magazine pages. And magazine pages you can use from vintage magazines like I have here, but there are also so many beautiful magazines, modern magazines, that you can pull pages out of and use, especially in your private, like in your personal journal for personal use, like Daphne's Diary, like I think Flow magazine is beautiful, has beautiful papers and illustrations. Frankie magazine, I think it's an Aussie one. And yeah, I just have a couple of pages here with those cute old advertisements, which I really like, and I might use those as well. Next thing is of course vintage music paper. So I don't think it needs explaining. Again, if you don't have it, just search for digitals, you guys. Search on Etsy. I don't remember if Lorna has any, but I'm sure you will be able to find some music pages. And yeah, just again a different pattern in your journal. And if you have one which has this beautiful vintage coloring, then it will just add to the vintage look. Then I have things that I have been hoarding so much. So this is vintage wallpapers, or wallpapers in general. I have used modern but vintage looking wallpapers before too. And these two were gifted to me by my dear friend Sandy. This is Teal. This is Folia, Teal, and Aloe Walk Eyes. Oh, these are just like I've gotten them sometime last year, and I was just admiring them from afar. I was not going to be using them for a long time, but then I decided, well, let's stop holding and let's actually use them and have them in my journal. So I have some vintage wallpaper samples here. Then we have wrapping paper, and here is my other wrapping paper. So you can again use modern one which just fits your aesthetic of the journal that you are going for. I have this scrap left from some journals I was packing, and then this one was gifted to me, and it's also so beautiful and botanical. I probably will use it as well. And then I have this gorgeous book of gift and creative papers, which was again gifted to me, but it has the most amazing Art Nouveau sort of patterns, and I may use it. I may use 1 or 2 pages if I decide I don't want to hold it like a little bit more because it's just glorious. So there is that. Okay, so the next thing we can use in our journals is blank pages. And again, with blank papers, there's just so many to choose from. So you can use coffee or tea stained papers or dyed papers. I have some blue, I don't know where it came from, but yeah, so coffee, tea stained papers. You can use recycled paper. This is from like a recycled paper pad. This is a craft paper. It's also awesome to use. This is you know, when some books have this like front page which is pretty much blank, this has some beautiful writing on it, but they are blank. I always save those and you can then use them in your journal. So yeah, blank pages, because blank pages give you so much room to work in, and yeah, you can just free your creativity. So I always add those in my journals. The next thing is map pages. I love maps. I don't use them often enough, but I'm definitely going to be using some maps in this. So I have, again, some different colors, shapes, sizes, textures. So here we have the United States. This is so beautiful. And then this is, what is this, Arctic regions. Then we have Yugoslavia and Africa. Beautiful, beautiful old maps. Then this one is from, I believe, yes, this is a Polish map book or atlas. This is like France, Spain, and it's blank on this side, which is an added bonus. And I have this double sheet of maps from another atlas book. Then we have pattern papers, and with pattern papers, again, you can go for whatever you have. So maybe you have printed some digitals, use them. Maybe you have some scrapbooking cardstock, and scrapbooking cardstock is nice because it gives your signatures a little bit of sturdiness, because it's of course much thicker than some of those flimsy papers, especially vintage papers. So I have here 2 sheets of Tim Holtz. This is French something, this paper pad is called, but as you can see, they are a bit dark, grungy, definitely vintagey, and I haven't been using them, but I thought, yeah, I want to go with neutrals and with vintage look in this particular journal, so I'm probably going to be using these. I have some smaller ones. These are 8x8 and they were gifted to me by Sandy. Thank you so much, Sandy. Again, I've been hoarding them. I tend to hoard my gifts, and these are amazing because they are a little bit textured, so they feel like wallpaper. And I picked some neutral colors, and then I have these ones which are one-sided cardstock, and this is so beautiful, so I think I might use it too. I also have this pad of writing and crafting papers, which was gifted to me by Sophia. Thank you so much, Sophia. This is gorgeous. Oof, this is stunning. So this is just different patterns and again textures, and some of them are blank on the other side and some of them have something on the other side, maybe some lines or some journaling space. So anyway, guys, use whatever you have, use whatever matches the aesthetic that you're going for, and you know, you don't have to go and buy things that you don't have to feel the pressure to have the most amazing papers in your journal. As you can see here, this is a hodgepodge of papers, a mishmash of old, new, grungy, florally, of everything really, of thick and thin papers. So I've just picked papers from my stash, and yeah, you can use things like what's it called, deli paper. You can use sheets of baking paper, you can use your packaging, you can use your you can use anything. I mean, I hope this gave you a little bit of like an overview of all the different choices that you have, and that you will be able to find some of these things in your stash and create signatures that you love. And now we can finally go to the other part of this video, which is actually going to be us creating the signatures and binding them into this book. So the first thing I want to do is I want to figure out how many signatures I want to have. So I'm going to measure the space I have here. So I'm going like from the crease to crease, or maybe a little bit smaller, and I think it gives me 4 centimeters of space. So let's see, 4 centimeters, and I'm looking at my ruler to kind of, you know, see where I can place my signatures. I want them evenly spread, so I am probably going to go for 3 signatures, one at this 2 centimeter mark, one at this 0.5 centimeter mark, and one at 3.5 centimeters mark. So they are going to be spread 1.5 centimeters apart. And in inches, this one is about 1.25 inches. So again, you could just go for 1 inch, then maybe 1/2 inch this side of a ruler, and 1/2 inch this side. Kind of, you don't have to, if you don't want to measure, you don't have to. I kind of like to measure because it gives me the idea of how many signatures, so how many of these booklets I can fit into my journal. And yeah, the other thing I want, so we are going for 3 signatures in my case. The other thing I want to do is to measure how tall and how wide I want my pages to be. So I am pretty much measuring the cover of the journal, and I am going for slightly smaller pages than the cover of this is, so they fit comfortably. And even if I, you know, make a little bit of a mistake while binding, and I put my signature slightly too high or slightly too low, they are still going to be tucked safely into the cover. The papers are going to be in within the cover because they are just a little bit smaller. So I think in my case I'm going to go for 19 centimeters, and this is something I have to write down. You already have some measurements here from the previous video. So 19 centimeters this way, and I'm going to go for 11 centimeters this way. And yeah, and now is the fun part. This is a part that I really love, which is choosing the pages that I actually want for my signatures and making the little booklets. So you guys, I think what I'm going to start with, to kind of keep it easy for you to follow, is I am going to start with certain categories that I'm sure I want to include, folding them in half, and then making them the right size. Sorry. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm folding my blank pages first. I definitely want to include some blank pages in my journal. So I have this recycled paper, and I also have these two. So this is this front page of an old book with the beautiful writing. This is Ksiądz Stefan someone. So this is like a priest's book. This was like a priest's book. Priest? Yeah, priest is the English word, I think. So I have my papers folded, and also I'm either using my fingernails to make sure the crease is nicely folded, you know, or you can use a tool like this and just go over it, because the better you fold it, the kind of the flatter your journal will be. And if you want to add a lot of pages, then you want your journal to be, or your papers to be, as flat as possible. Now this is of course the right size. This is going to be even smaller than my cover. And for this one, I'm going to be using a mixture. You could of course use your paper cutter and just cut your pages, or your scissors and cut them to a right size. But I think I'm going to go with a slightly more grungy and torn look. So I will be using a mixture of two rulers. One is just a regular ruler with a straight edge, and I'm going to be using its edge to tear the pages at the size that I want. And the other one is my tearing ruler. This is from Joy Crafts, and I found it on Amazon, and it has this nice rugged edge that just gives me a beautiful edge for my pages. So for this one, now I have my measurements right here, and I'm also going to pick a pencil if I can find any. Okay, I have this huge pencil. So again, I don't want my pages to be more than 11, so I'm even going to be tearing it a little less than that, and then less than 19, or about 19, so somewhere here. And I am just going to take my ruler, position it, kind of going to be trying to be even here. I'm just tearing this paper. Is really hard to tear because it's quite thick, but we will manage. And I have a slightly wonky but a torn edge nevertheless, and of course I am not going to be let me just tear it first. Oh, this one is hard. Come on. Trying to, okay. I'm going to be reusing these scraps, so I'm not throwing them away, throwing them into my scraps bin. So we have our first page done, and I'm going to be doing the same thing with all of these papers, and I will do it off camera in just a moment. Let's go through all of the other pages or types of pages that we have. So we also have some maps that I may want to use, so I'm just going to fold maybe one of these, put it aside. Then I could have definitely this one, and I am quite sure this is going to be the right size. This journal will be quite small in comparison to what I usually do, so I will measure to make sure. But you know what I mean by a size, like a correct size, is then when you put your pages into your cover, kind of like you would bind them to the spine, into the spine, and close it up. They are not sticking either on top and bottom or on the side. They are nicely tucked inside. They are shorter and well, smaller than your cover. You can of course go for a very like even look if you prefer it, but I find that this is more difficult. You have to be more precise if you don't want your pages to stick out of your journal. So now with this one, I think I want to go, so first let me see, we want 19, so I'm going to be tearing it using my tear ruler this time, about here. And this piece again I'm going to save, maybe do some stamping on it or something like that. This has a nice vintage coloring. And then I love this roughed up edge. And then I will fold it at about 11. So it's going to be about here. And this other side, I'm going to tear a little bit of it. As you can see, I'm definitely not tearing to the size of this. And this page, I will just tack here, and it will give me a nice interactive page when it's in my journal. This side is just like this, and this size gives us more space for journaling. So that's it. What else do we have? The rest of it, I think I'm just going to, well, I will see. You know, the fun thing about it all, it's all adjustable. So I am going to fold some of the pages, and if I decide that I need more, then I'm going to just fold some more and have some more. So what else can we use? This one I definitely think I want to use, and this is just so pretty. This edge is so pretty, and it's only on this side. So I think what I want to do is I want to tear here. Oh my goodness, now I tore it. But that's okay, I don't mind torn pages. Oh, I will show you guys how to fix it so that it looks cool. But let's see, this I think is still too wide. Yes, it is. So I'm going to tear a piece, and let's see if we can. Okay, you know what? I think I'm actually going to go ahead and tear this piece. Oh, I like it. Look at this, you guys. Look at how nice this now looks with the torn edge, and it's going to be visible under our like layers of paper. I really like it. And then this, of course, I'm saving for later. So here's my page. Now I can fold it in half. I want to just show you some examples, and then I will do the rest of camera. But I want to show you how you can tackle some different pages, different sizes of pages, and how you can make them work with your journal, however big or small it is. So here I'm thinking I will tear it somewhere here, and then this maybe I will again do like a fold out. So I'm doing it this way, and then this bit I'm folding inside. And we have our music, and this time I have the fold out on the left side. So there is that, and then we can of course use this if we are still short of papers. What else can I show you? Book pages. Which of the book pages do I want to use? Probably most of them. So I know I definitely want to use this one, and I love this torn edge. So I am going to make sure this will fit within my cover. Fold it like this. I'm going to tear this edge, and I will have this nice piece to play with later. No, I think it's too tall. So yes, so I have to tear it somewhere here. And we have our page. Okay. And more scraps, fun scraps. Now definitely this one, so this is already a good size because I'm just going to fold it in half. Then this, I love this book. So this is like a Latin book. This is the book that belonged to the priest that we've seen signature previously. And it's full of notes and comments and underlined words, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm going to have so many beautiful scraps. Now for this one, let me measure it. How much would I have to lose? Not much on the top. And here, do I want to? I need at 11. Okay, so I'm going to tear it here. And here is the part that I want to show you, where we have this brittle vintage page. It even has some holes here from the binding, from the original binding. And here is how I would go with reinforcing this. And I would take a roll of washi tape. Let me grab my washi tapes. And you know, my washi tapes are a mess. But I'm going to be doing those organize with me videos very, very soon. So we will be organizing those washi tapes. And I have this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. So it's a bit wider than your regular washi, which I think is good because it will be more secure. So I'm going to move these papers aside. And with washi tape, especially if you're using it for something as important as reinforcing, I would definitely use an additional adhesive. You don't want it peeling off your page when you have it bound in your journal, because it just would not look attractive. So I'm adding a bit of glue to the crease here, and I am going to add my washi tape. And this is also just a nice kind of like a decoration on your page. So I'm just going to tear, I think, this piece, fold it over, make sure it's nice. Yeah, I really like it. I really like it. And you can do this just on one page or on both pages, but I think I'm going to go with just one, and then I have those cute little bits here to add additional security. Definitely go over with a second layer on the other side. So there's this one here. Well, this book should definitely fit because it's from this page should fit because it's from the same book. So we have the cover, but I'm doing my pages slightly smaller than the cover, so I'm just going to tear a little bit like this. What else is there that I can show you? Oh, the envelopes. The rest I think I am going to do off camera, but maybe this one. But let's tackle. So this I'm just going to fold and add to the journal like that. And then with the envelope, I'm going to take my giant scissors, and I am going to open it on two sides. So I'm tying just a sliver, cutting just a sliver, as you can see. We want it open on three sides, so that we can open it like this and have it like a page in our journal. And I think it's going to look so nice. And these, I love these, like old glue impressions or whatever it is. So this is, yeah, just like that. Then this one, like I mentioned, I'm just going to fold it in half. And what I'm going to do, as you can see, I have a pocket already on this side. Here is going to be the binding, and I'm going to cut it open. And you could do the top or the side. I'm going to do the side. So now I have the pocket on this side as well, and we can decorate the outside and put something inside. Now for this one, oh, let me do the ledger first, maybe. Some more pretty scraps to put aside. Now the ledger, I'm just going to take a page, and please don't think that this is easy for me, because I am like, my inner hoarder is screaming at me right now and telling me to leave this, but I really want to use some vintage things in my journal. So yeah, I'm just trying to ignore the voice. Now this is a bit too large, so I'm going to tear this piece, and this is a beautiful scrap for my scraps. Oh, I love it. This is going to look so nice in some collages. And then it's also probably too wide. Yes, it is. So I think I'm just going to tear this part like that and save these gorgeous scraps for some other project. And we have a nice blank page, which is always fun, and then we will have these middle pages with some writing. So here is the ledger. This one, let me see, I'm going to take this pattern papers outside, and you know what I was thinking, I would cut here and use it like a page, but I think because this journal is just slightly smaller, I would have to lose too much of the image, and I don't think I want to do it. I could also, well, go horizontally and have this like a page and then fold it, but then I would kind of have to cut these ladies like this, and yeah, this side would just be a bit weird. So no, I'm going to adjust my plans, and I am not going to use it for this one. I'm going to save it for a different journal. All right, you guys, I think that's most of what I wanted to show you. I think you kind of know now how I'm going to go ahead with prepping my papers. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use this one as well. So maybe let me tear here. This is like a cardstock. Oh, and it has something on the other side as well. Fold it. You can use your ruler if you don't want to use your fingernails, and if you don't have a bone folder. And now, is this a good height? Yes, it is. Okay, so here's another page. Okay, so I am going to stop the camera. I am going to go ahead and add some more pages to this collection, and then I will be back in just a second, and I will show you how I construct those into signatures, and then we are going to be binding. Okay guys, so I'm done with this. I think we have a nice selection of papers. Let me show you what they are, but let me also show you why I stopped at this point. So when I roughly put my papers into the cover, you can see that it's pretty much full, but it still closes here, which is what I want, because I'm going to be adding a lot to these papers, a lot of layers, a lot of collaging, stickers, washi tape, all of that. So it's going to chunk up, and when it's done, I don't want it to be more than this. So this is what we want for to begin with, and I have this kind of creative paper from the paper pad I showed you. I have the junk mail envelope that I opened on this side, and it's also opened on this side. Packing paper, crinkly papers, wallpaper piece. I love this side as well. More crinkly papers, patterned scrapbooking paper, book pages of different sorts, some blank pages, maps, more blank pages. This one, this mixed media page. Then I have the vintage ledger. I have this envelope that you guys have seen, this one, the receipt, more book pages. This one is the one with washi tape, and music page. We did this one together too. This pretty wrapping paper, and this book, which, as you can see, it started tearing the moment I folded it, so I decided to add washi tape on this side, so it's not going to go anywhere. Now, how do we do it with the signatures? So I usually kind of try to have the signatures with a sort of even number of pages, so that the journal is not thicker on the front and then thinner on the back, that they are kind of evenly spread out. And I also want kind of a even amount of blank pages, so I would count this as blank. What are my blank pages? Yeah, I think so. And also of crinkly bits. So I don't want one of my signatures to have all of the crinkly bits and then the others won't have anything. And if you have watched any of my previous journal tutorials, you will know that I like to pay attention to the very first page that I am choosing. I like the very first page to be kind of like when you open the journal and it's like a wow effect. So I was thinking maybe this one, because it just looks so gorgeous with the cover. I could also choose this one because wrapping paper, but I think I'm just going to go with this one. Then I'm going to choose like a first page of the second signature, and again I'm kind of trying to you know, see what matches here. Like, this is a junk journal, so you definitely don't have to do it, but let's go with this one. And my third signature, let's go, does this match here? Not really, so perhaps something different. And as you can see, this is not organized at all, but that's how I roll, I guess. So I have my starting pages for the 3 signatures. I can put this aside. Now I'm going to roughly categorize these, so I can pick a paper from each group. So this is vintage, music paper, these are textbook pages, we have maps, and I'm going to add the book pages with maps, or like patterned papers. This is vintage, this is patterned, vintage, and an envelope like that. Okay, so let's start. I think I'm going to go for the ledger paper, and then as you will see, I want to kind of have the different layers of my papers visible. So I'm not going to usually go for a smaller page right after this, because I want to see the nice layer when I open this up. Now I can go for perhaps this one, because it matches beautifully with the colors here. And then I could maybe add these this junk mail envelopes. So I'm not counting the pages yet, I'm just going kind of with the flow here. Let's add maybe a crinkly bit somewhere here, perhaps in the beginning. I think so. So maybe I will actually go for this packing paper, although this will cover my layers. So how about I just go for this one? Oh, I really like it. I really like how it looks. So let's keep it like that. And how many pages do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the signature. Let's see how we go about the second signature. So I'm going to start with this. Add this one perhaps. And then a book page like that, or maybe this one, so we have a different color from the music paper that we have. Then I could have this perhaps. Yeah, I like it. And then I think, where is this? Or did I already use it? Perhaps. So let's go with this because it has a little bit of green as well, and then maybe a map page. I love it. And then we could add this book page. So let's add it like that. And so how many do we have at this point? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. That's okay. Oops, but I need to fold it Like this. So again, this booklet is what we call a signature. So we already have 2 signatures, 7 pages, 8 pages. Let's see the last one. And I'm thinking we could, when we have about 7 or 8 pages in this, then we can add to the rest of the signatures. And we will see how we like it. See here, I'm also putting one of the smaller pages on kind of on top of the signature, one of the bottom, so when we have this, we will see both of them. Let me add this one. Do I want this one here? Not. Maybe not. It doesn't look the way I want it. Maybe the envelope now and then the book page. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's add 9. So 9 in the third one. Let's add perhaps 2 or 3 pages to this one. So I'm thinking this. And then maybe this is so pretty, so maybe something here. We could add this, definitely. Then we could add something to this one. Maybe this map page actually. I really like, see how the color, how this green peeks through here. Oh, and I think I want to add the blue, because we already have some blue going on here. So I would like to add this blue here. Look at this, you guys. This is going to be just gorgeous. So we have the first signature done, and then what else? We could add a bit of this, or maybe not. Maybe I don't want to. I wouldn't want this one. And I think I'm going to take this crinkly bit here. So this is the second signature, this is the first one, and the third. Let's go for this. Okay, let me give you a quick flip through. I think I'm going to leave this out and use it for something else. So we have the first signature. So book page, ledger paper, crinkly bit. Some of the papers that we've chosen together, the junk mail envelope, and this in the middle. Then the other one, we have the fold out, crinkly bits. I will of course give you a proper flip through once these are bound. So this might be a long video. But I want it to be as sort of informative and as helpful to you guys as possible. And then the third one. I love all the different papers, all the different layers. And this in the middle. Awesome. Now we have our cute signatures. I really love them. They're so different from what I usually do, but I love them. So now what I would do is I would put them in my cover, and we can already see that this is sticking out a little bit, so that this needs to be trimmed. Now this one also, I think I'm going to just tear it here. So this is the time for some last minute adjustments. So I'm going to tear this like that, and then this tall bit. I thought it might be too large, but that's okay. We can adjust it as we go. Now we can try this again, and everything should fit nicely in the cover. As you can see, nothing is sticking out here, nor on the top, nor on the bottom. We are ready to go with the binding. So with the binding, the first thing I do is I make a template for my spine and for my signatures. And the way I do it is I take a sheet of graph paper. I have a graph paper pad here, so let me take a sheet out of this. Because with graph paper, you know, you already have lines, so it is so much easier to be precise. And what I want, I remember that my spine is about 4 centimeters, maybe 4.5. I want it to be the width of my spine, so I think I'm going to go with 4.5 for this, by about 20, so 4.5 by 20. Now for this I wanted this one to be the exact measurement, so I'm actually going to use my paper trimmer. Now the first thing is I trim along one of the lines so that my template starts exactly at the line, and then I want 4.5 centimeters. In my case, of course, you can measure your spine and make sure you cut in the right spot, and then by 20. So again, I am first going to cut along one of the lines, and then 20 centimeters, about 20, like that. So here is my template, and what I do with it is I fold it in half, and I fold it in half again. So we are going to be using a 3-hole pamphlet stitch binding method, which is what I usually use to bind my journals. This is quick. This is it's a very good binding method. Now I am also folding it in half along the long edge. It's a secure binding method. So, okay, and you know what, guys? I think I am going to actually cut this to exactly 4 centimeters, because you remember when we were measuring the spine, we actually measured 4 centimeters and we wanted one signature at 2, one at a half centimeter, and 3.5. So I actually want this to be the same size. So here comes my paper cutter again, this way, and I am going to trim it just a tad bit to match, to be at 4 centimeters. Oh, now this is so short, but this should work. Okay, 4. I can align it with my scissors because it's a little bit flimsy and I want it even. Okay, awesome. So now we can fold it in half again along the long line or long edge, and I will show you how I use a template like this. Now, if you are binding a lot of journals that are the same size, you can kind of make a template like this on your computer and print it every time you need it. But because I use so many different sizes of journals, I just make it like this every time. So now we have our lines, our folding lines, and you will probably see it better on your example, but we have this one in the middle where our 2 lines meet. We have one just like that, a bit higher, and one just like that, a bit lower. So I am marking them with my pen, and because we folded it in half and then in half again, these distances are the same, so we don't have to measure anything. And then I am going at 1.5 centimeters. So with graph paper it's easier for me, especially for, you know, us Europeans, as we measure in centimeters, because one of these squares is exactly 0.5 centimeter. So I'm going 3 squares this way and marking 3 squares this way, and I'm doing the same thing on the top and on the bottom. And because it is called a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, because in one line, so in one signature, we have 3 holes through which we are going to be threading. Now we need to add holes to our spine. So this is the binding method that I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to be sewing my signatures directly to the spine of the book. So here is a few things that I'm going to be needing. One is something that you can poke holes through. The other one is an awl or like a pokey tool, whatever you can poke holes with. And I'm also going to be using this kind of to protect my desk. And what I usually use also is just 2 pieces or 3 pieces of washi tape to keep my template in place. So I want to position it in the middle, top and bottom, and I'm going to temporarily stick it to my spine so it doesn't move when I am poking holes. And now I'm just going through all those dots that we added here, poking holes like that, 3 on the top. This is where our signatures, our booklets are going to go. 3 on the bottom. And of course, you know, if you are making a junky junk journal, you don't have to measure it. You can just make 3 holes, 3 holes, and 3 holes like this. But I guess I just like to measure. This is something I am very used to. So you can see the holes on this side, and our threads are going to go through these. So I am happy about this because we will still be seeing the title and also this bit here. Okay. Now the other thing that we need to do is we need to poke holes in our signatures. And I'm going to show you how I bind one of them, and then I'm going to bind the others off camera because I don't want this video to be like 3 hours long. So what I do is I take let me search for it. I had it here somewhere, but basically I am looking for a large paper clip, just like this one. So you can use a regular paper clip, a bulldog clip, something to hold your pages together. Now I am going through the pages, just making sure one last time they are positioned where I want them within the signature. So I could move this one lower if I wanted to, something like that, but I like the way they are. So I am also making sure they are nice and tight in the crease here. And I am taking this and just, you know, attaching them together. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my template, and you remember we folded it in half, so now it matches. It can, you know, we can slip it in our signature. I'm slipping it directly in the middle. I am making sure this is kind of in the middle, so you know we have an even bit peeking out here and here, and I'm going to be poking holes through the 3 markings that we made in the middle. So these are exactly positioned exactly where we have already poked holes in our spine. So I'm making sure I'm going through all of the pages, and I'm going to be doing this with all the signatures one by one. I find it the easiest to start with the like from the back, so I'm choosing the last signature, then the second one, then the first one, but feel free to go however you like. Now what I'm going to need is a needle. Look at this, guys. Isn't this just such a cute tin box? I found it on Amazon and I really love it. So I have my needle and I'm picking kind of the middle one, not the smallest, not the largest. And I also want to pick a thread that I'm going to be binding with. So I'm looking at the colors and I'm thinking this jute thread will just look so nice on this cover and will go with the vintagey vibe. So I'm also picking this. And this is what I'm going to be binding with. So then I want to take at least 2 lengths of my spine of the thread, and I'm usually going with more because I prefer to have more and then cut it out and use the bit that I cut out for something else than to have too little, and you know, when I make a mistake sometimes with the binding. So I'm going to thread it through my needle. So sorry you can't see, but I have to have it close to my face and to my eyes. Now I have my thread. And binding is, I would say, the most difficult, but not because the binding method is difficult, but because, well, most difficult part of the journal making process, but because you have to be precise. You don't want your journal falling apart. You don't want your signatures falling apart from your journal. And so this is tedious sometimes. This takes a lot of time and practice, but do practice, you guys, you will get that. So the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, I am starting from the inside of the signature, from the middle hole. So I'm going through the middle hole and I'm leaving quite a long bit of thread here, and then I'm going through the middle hole in my spine as well. Now I'm going up to the top hole. Oops, and of course I lost my, sorry guys, I lost my thread, so let me thread it through my needle again. You know how you do something hundreds or dozens at least of times and you always get it right, and then you turn on the camera and things just don't go right. So as you can see, I'm leaving this loose for now because I'm going to be making sure it's nice and tight a little bit later. So then we want to make sure that we are going through the top hole here and that we are going through all of the pages. Oh, and this just hit here, all of the pages to the middle of the signature again, then all the way down to the bottom hole, through the pages and through the spine as well, and then back to the bottom hole. This one is a bit more difficult because already there's of course already a thread coming out of this hole, so you are kind of doubling on thread, so just be careful not to like poke your needle through the thread because that would not work. And I am again trying to, yes, to go here, making sure I have not poked my needle through my thread. You can remove the needle, and now I have these long tails here that I can play with. So now you have this one long strip going all the way down, and you want to make sure there's two loose twines on the, you know, one on the right side and one on the left side of this. And now we can start making sure this is nice and sturdy here and not as loose. So I'm going to look at my spine, this is how it's looking so far, and pull one of the strings. Now go back inside and see which string you can, or which which end you can pull. I'm going to go back to the same here, just pulling on the strings. I'm looking if they are tight here as well. I can touch this here like that, make sure that it is as tight as can be, although do not be too hard on the strings because you can tear through the pages, especially if you are using some thinner pages. So now what I'm doing is I am making a double knot, and here it is. And the reason why I chose to have those long threads is actually because I want them sticking out, not that much, but I want them sticking out from the journal, because I was thinking we could add some beads or some maybe charms on the ends here. So I'm going to leave them this long for now, and we will see probably in the next video. So let me do this and I will be back to you. Okay guys, this is done. I am so excited with this journal, of how this is turning out. So this is the binding, the spine. I really like it. And then look at this paper goodness. I love it. I love all the different papers, and I think I just need to tear this one a little bit more so it doesn't stick out from the cover. But yeah, let me give you a final flip through. So again, I left those a bit longer because I may want to do something with them, and if not, we will just cut them out. So here is the first page, the front cover, and we have all the different papers and textures, torn edges that we've chosen. Junk mail envelope, beautiful craft paper. This is a pretty page as well. The second signature, and I love how you can see the beautiful fabric in between. We have our fold out. Love all the different paper layers. We have the pretty dragonfly in the middle here. I'm so excited about this journal. Can't wait to start decorating it. Okay. A little pocket here. The envelope page, and the pocket on this side here as well. And the end. So I am very, very excited about this one. Thank you so much for crafting with me. In the next video, or in the next episode of this mini series, we are going to be adding some finishing touches. So I was thinking closure, I was thinking some beads and charms maybe, and also decorating the edges a little bit, so that when we look at it like this, we see maybe some gold or some inking, something like this. And maybe we will even start decorating the journal. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't yet, and thank you guys. I will see you very, very soon in the next one. Bye.